In the heart of a desolate wasteland, where the very fabric of reality seemed to tremble, the infamous Scarlet King stood tall, a towering figure of demonic majesty. His skin shimmered like molten crimson, and his multiple eyes glowed with an intensity that could pierce the darkest of nights. Today, he was in a particularly playful mood, ready to showcase the full extent of his terrifying powers. "Ladies and gentlemen, gather round," he bellowed, his voice echoing like thunder across the barren landscape. "Prepare to witness the spectacle of a lifetime." From the shadows emerged Knull, the grotesque god of symbiotes, his dark, sinewy form twisting and writhing like a living nightmare. His jagged teeth glinted menacingly, and his eyes burned with a hunger for chaos. "You think you can hold me back, Scarlet King?" he snarled, brandishing his obsidian blades. "I will consume everything." With a flick of his clawed hand, the Scarlet King merely chuckled, his laughter reverberating through the air. "Oh, Knull, you're adorable when you're angry." He flexed his monstrous arms, the muscles rippling beneath his skin. "But let's see how you fare against my little game of restraint." As Knull lunged forward, the Scarlet King met him with a swift motion, wrapping his powerful arms around the dark god. Knull struggled, his grotesque form thrashing against the king's grip, but it was like trying to escape a mountain. The Scarlet King's eyes glowed brighter, and with a flick of his wrist, he tightened his hold, rendering Knull immobile. "Not so tough now, are we?" the Scarlet King teased, a wicked grin spreading across his face. "You're just a big, scary marshmallow." Next to join the fray was the Darkest Knight, a shadowy figure clad in a twisted amalgamation of Batman and Joker's essence. His laughter echoed like a haunting melody, a blend of madness and cunning. "You think you can contain me, Scarlet King?" he taunted, his voice dripping with malevolence. "I am the embodiment of chaos." The Scarlet King turned his attention to the Darkest Knight, his eyes narrowing. "Chaos, you say? How quaint." With a swift motion, he redirected his grip, ensnaring the Darkest Knight in a vice-like embrace. "Let's see how chaotic you can be when you're stuck in my clutches." The Darkest Knight struggled, his shadowy form flickering like a candle in the wind, but the Scarlet King's strength was insurmountable. "You're just a shadow of your former self," he quipped, his laughter mingling with the Darkest Knight's frustrated growls. Finally, the Chaos King emerged, a cosmic entity with a face that seemed to warp and twist in on itself, sharper teeth glinting in the dim light. "You dare challenge the essence of chaos itself?" he roared, his voice a cacophony of madness. "Ah, the final act," the Scarlet King exclaimed, his eyes gleaming with excitement. "Welcome to the party." With a flourish, he ensnared the Chaos King alongside Knull and the Darkest Knight, his grip unyielding. 3 against 1. How unfair, he mocked, his voice dripping with sarcasm. "But don't worry, I'm just here to hold you all back. No destruction today." As the 3 powerful entities writhed in his grasp, the Scarlet King reveled in their futile attempts to escape. "You see, my friends, it's not about destruction, it's about control." He flexed his claws, the glow of his eyes intensifying. "And I have all the control I need." The wasteland trembled as the Scarlet King continued to hold back Knull, the Darkest Knight, and the Chaos King, each of them a titan of terror in their own right. Yet here they were, reduced to mere playthings in the hands of the almighty Scarlet King. "Now, who wants to play a game of charades?" he asked, a mischievous glint in his eyes. "I promise it'll be a blast." And as the 3 dark entities squirmed in his grasp, the Scarlet King's laughter echoed through the wasteland, a sound both terrifying and oddly delightful, a reminder that even in the face of unimaginable power, humor could still reign supreme. In the heart of a desolate wasteland, where the very fabric of reality seemed to tremble, the infamous Scarlet King stood tall, a towering figure of demonic majesty. His skin shimmered like molten crimson, and his multiple eyes glowed with an intensity that could pierce the darkest of nights. Today, he was in a particularly playful mood, ready to showcase the full extent of his terrifying powers. "Ladies and gentlemen, gather round," he bellowed, his voice echoing like thunder across the barren landscape. "Prepare to witness the spectacle of a lifetime." From the shadows emerged Knull, the grotesque god of symbiotes, his dark, sinewy form writhing with malevolence. His jagged teeth glinted menacingly, and his eyes burned with a hunger for chaos. "You think you can hold me back, Scarlet King?" he snarled, brandishing his terrifying swords, each one forged from the nightmares of the universe. "Oh, Knull, darling," the Scarlet King replied with a smirk, "I'm not just going to hold you back. I'm going to make it look fabulous." With a flick of his clawed hand, he ensnared Knull in a grip of pure power, the dark god's monstrous form struggling against the unyielding force of the Scarlet King's grasp. As Knull writhed, the ground beneath them trembled, and from the shadows emerged the Darkest Knight, a twisted amalgamation of Batman and the Joker. His laughter echoed like a haunting melody, a sound that sent shivers down the spines of all who heard it. "You think you can contain me, Scarlet King? I am chaos incarnate." He cackled, his eyes glinting with a manic intelligence. "Chaos, you say?" The Scarlet King chuckled, his multiple eyes narrowing playfully. "I've had my fair share of chaos, my dear Darkest Knight." With a swift motion, he wrapped his other clawed hand around the Darkest Knight, holding him in place as if he were a mere child. "Now, let's see how you handle a little restraint." But the Scarlet King wasn't done yet. From the cosmic void, the Chaos King emerged, a shadowy figure with a face that seemed to shift and writhe like a living nightmare. "You dare challenge the embodiment of chaos?" He hissed, his voice a chilling whisper that echoed through the air. Challenge. Oh, sweet Chaos King, I'm not challenging you. I'm just giving you a hug. The Scarlet King laughed, his voice booming with amusement. With a flick of his wrist, he ensnared the Chaos King alongside Knull in the darkest night, creating a bizarre tableau of restrained chaos. The three dark entities struggled against the Scarlet King's overwhelming strength, their grotesque forms twisting and contorting in a futile attempt to break free. Knull's swords clashed against the Scarlet King's claws, but the demonic entity merely chuckled, his eyes glowing brighter with each failed attempt. Is that all you've got? He taunted, his voice dripping with mockery. I expected a bit more from the god of symbiotes, the darkest night, and the embodiment of chaos. Come on, give me a show. As the trio continued to squirm, the Scarlet King decided to add a touch of flair to his display. With a dramatic flourish, he began to juggle the three of them, tossing them into the air like a circus performer. Look, everyone. The darkest night, Knull, and the Chaos King. The most chaotic juggling act in the multiverse. The wasteland echoed with the sounds of their protests, but the Scarlet King was having the time of his life. And now for the grand finale. He declared, launching them high into the air before catching them with a single hand, holding them aloft like trophies of his power. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the ultimate demonstration of strength and style. He proclaimed, his voice booming with pride. Who knew that holding back the most terrifying entities in existence could be so much fun? As the Scarlet King reveled in his display, the three captives exchanged glances, a mix of shock and begrudging admiration in their eyes. They had underestimated the Scarlet King, and now they were at the mercy of his whims. All right. You win this round, Scarlet King. Knull grumbled, his voice laced with reluctant respect. Indeed, the darkest night added, his laughter now tinged with a hint of admiration. You've proven yourself today. The Chaos King, still writhing in the Scarlet King's grasp, could only nod in agreement. Let's not make this a habit, though. With a triumphant grin, the Scarlet King released his hold, allowing the three entities to tumble to the ground. Oh, don't worry. I'll save the next show for another day. But remember, when it comes to chaos, strength, and style, I'm the one who reigns supreme. And with that, the Scarlet King turned, his laughter echoing through the wasteland as he strode away, leaving behind a trio of powerful beings who had learned a valuable lesson: never underestimate the almighty Scarlet King. In the heart of a desolate wasteland, where the very fabric of reality seemed to tremble, the Scarlet King stood tall, a towering figure of dread and majesty. His multiple red glowing eyes flickered like the embers of a dying star, casting an eerie light across the barren landscape. Today was not just another day for the infamous entity, it was a day to showcase his unparalleled might. As the ground quaked beneath him, the Scarlet King flexed his monstrous clawed arms, each movement a symphony of power and grace. He had grown tired of being merely a whisper in the shadows, a name spoken in hushed tones. Today, he would demonstrate what true power looked like, and the universe would bear witness. From the swirling mists of chaos emerged Knull, the dark god of symbiotes, his grotesque form a nightmare made flesh. With jagged teeth and a body that seemed to writhe with malevolence, he approached, his voice a guttural growl. You think you can challenge me, Scarlet King? I am the void, the darkness that consumes all. The Scarlet King merely chuckled, a deep, resonant sound that echoed through the wasteland. Consume all. How quaint. With a flick of his wrist, he unleashed a wave of crimson energy that enveloped Knull, binding him in place. The dark god struggled, his monstrous body thrashing against the invisible chains, but the Scarlet King's grip was unyielding. You see, Knull, I'm not here to destroy you. I'm here to show you what restraint looks like. As Knull writhed, the ground beneath them cracked and splintered, but the Scarlet King remained unfazed. He turned his attention to the horizon, where a shadow loomed, a figure clad in darkness, the darkest night, the twisted amalgamation of Batman and the Joker. His laughter echoed like a haunting melody, a sound that sent shivers down the spines of even the bravest souls. Scarlet King. He cackled, his voice dripping with madness. You think you can hold me back? I am chaos incarnate. With a flick of his clawed fingers, the Scarlet King summoned a barrier of crimson light, ensnaring the darkest night in a web of energy. Chaos. How delightful. He replied, his eyes gleaming with amusement. But I prefer my chaos contained. The darkest night struggled, his cunning mind racing to devise an escape, but the Scarlet King's power was absolute. Just as the Scarlet King reveled in his triumph, a cosmic rift tore open the sky, and from it emerged the Chaos King, a shadowy figure with a face that seemed to shift and writhe, teeth sharper than daggers glinting in the dim light. You dare to defy the essence of chaos? He hissed, his voice a chilling whisper that echoed through the void. Ah, another guest. The Scarlet King exclaimed, his tone dripping with mockery. Welcome to my little show. With a swift motion, he ensnared the Chaos King in a vortex of crimson energy, holding him alongside Knull in the darkest night. 3 for the price of 1. How lucky am I? The three dark entities struggled against their bonds, their combined might a tempest of fury and despair. Yet, the Scarlet King stood firm, his monstrous form a bastion of strength. You see, my dear friends, he said, a smirk playing on his lips, I could destroy you all in an instant. But where's the fun in that? Let's see how long you can last against my restraint. As the wasteland trembled with their combined power, the Scarlet King reveled in the chaos he had contained. He was not just a force of destruction, he was a master of control, a puppeteer pulling the strings of the universe's most terrifying entities. With each passing moment, he felt their strength waning, their desperation growing. Is this all you've got? He taunted, his multiple eyes glowing brighter, illuminating the darkness around them. I expected more from the embodiment of chaos and darkness. With a final surge of energy, the Scarlet King tightened his grip, and the three dark figures fell silent, their struggles ceasing as they realized the futility of their resistance. The wasteland, once a battleground of nightmares, now stood as a testament to the Scarlet King's might. Remember this day, he declared, his voice booming across the desolation. For I am the Scarlet King, and I am not just a name whispered in fear. I am the embodiment of power, and today, I have shown you what true restraint looks like. With that, he released his hold, allowing Knull, the Darkest Knight, and the Chaos King to retreat into the shadows, their pride shattered, their fear palpable. The Scarlet King stood alone, a figure of terrifying majesty, ready to face whatever challenges the universe dared to throw his way next.